Call the open session of the Board of Selectmen to order. It is Monday, March 2nd, and we are going to go a little bit out of order on our agenda here and move to the discussion of the discontinuation of county roadway request for letter from the town. That's your issue, correct, with Pleasant Street? And then we'll also be talking about the Ring Road, Main Street intersection. We've got Rob here, our highway superintendent, to help as well. So why don't I turn things over to you, gentlemen? Do you want to introduce yourselves?
My name is Gary James. I'm here representing Bill. This is Bill Manganiello, 67 Pleasant Street. His father actually lives at 95
Okay.
Pleasant Street. And they are the primary owners of the land that's really impacted by this. Pleasant Street, as you know, there was a county lake back in the 60s. And the way was widened to 42, 45. And that sharp curve right there, just before you get to the Kingston town line, they put a long radius curve in there. But it was never, and they actually created the right-of-way, but they never really moved the road. The road stayed in the old right-of-way. So now what's happened is here we are, 2020, almost 60 years later, and we still haven't utilized that right-of-way. And what we're requesting is that we went to the county commissioners, we went to the administration, actually not the commissioners themselves, but the administrative staff of the county commissioners. And they indicated that they did not act on any request from a private individual. That it would take a request from the Board of Selectmen for them to act on whether or not to discontinue the way. Now, the way itself actually separates Bill's parcel in two. I'm not sure if you...
Come on up.
Yeah.
Sure.
What happened is this is the road right now as it currently stands.
Now, 58 is down the top?
58 is up here.
Okay, and you're coming down and you make
coming
that...
down here, and this is indicated.
And then it, right at the Carver line?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Carver, Carver line, right at the
Yeah.
Carver line.
Okay.
So this is the right of way as it was laid out back in the 60s. So you can see Mr. Manganiello owns both parcels. Actually, this is his father and this is Bill's parcel right here.
Okay.
So it actually, when you go down through it, it doesn't look any different because it looks like it's part of the pasture where the cows are grazing right now.
Right.
It doesn't look that way. So what happens is, what we'd like to do is we'd like to widen the existing one to 45 feet because we control all of that land.
Rob, you want to come on up and so you can kind of see what we're talking about?
She already...
Oh, you've talked,
Oh,
okay.
All right,
Do you
perfect.
want me to come up?
Sure, if you
Yeah,
want me, if you...
sure.
But what we'd like to do is give you a little bit more curve right there.
Okay.
At that, and widen the right-of-way out to 45 feet, which we do have the ability because our parcel is the only one really being impacted by this.
It doesn't inflict on any neighbors?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
We'd actually be giving land back to some of the neighbors.
Okay.
These two right here. Those two neighbors would actually be getting some land back. So
How
they'll be getting,
would that...
they would be getting this piece here and this piece here. They'd be getting it back.
So where's the road going to be?
The road is being exactly where it is right now.
They're going to utilize the existing road and widen it instead of using the right-of-way.
Okay, now I'm okay.
Yes. So that would, and what we were also going to do is we're going to give you a little wider curve there to make sure that the pavement stays inside the right-of-way.
Yeah.
But like I said, they won't act on any request from us.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a request from the selectmen. So that's what we're asking the selectmen to do, is to, if you want, I'll draft the letter
Yeah, well,
and bring it to you, for your endorsement. I'll even talk to the clerk in the county office and see, what type of language he wants on the request.
if it doesn't inflict on neighbors, I don't see why we would have an issue.
Well, do the neighbors need to be involved in this signing off of the right-of-way?
I believe that, maybe I should talk to the county commissioner's office and see. I believe they'll run the public hearing. Because in reality, they're the ones who are going to discontinue the way. So theirs is the public hearing.
Okay.
And you're an engineer?
Yes.
Is that, okay. And so what are the implications here? If we give up the right-of-way on that big parcel, is that creating a buildable lot, or?
No, it actually, this is a little complicated, but the assessors actually have this as a buildable lot right here.
With the right-of-way going through it?
Yeah, with the right of way, which we're never gonna implement. Obviously, Bill wants that, and what we're trying to do too is we're trying to apply for a 61A application.
Okay.
And what's happening is we're running into issues with the assessors because the parcels are separated.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's really what's prompting this.
So that's the motivation, is to get this into condition where you could go into 61A?
61A, that's correct.
How
That's
many
really what's
acres is it?
motivating. I believe it's,
They're both just over an acre.
Okay.
They're going to be combined with this other lot to conform with the 61A. What I'm gonna set down. This is right here, this lot here is like 5.96,
Okay.
and then these are just over an acre apiece. They're going to be combined to conform with the 61A.
So it'll be continuous? You'll be-
yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
one,
this
it'll
will
be
be
one.
One big lot.
lot.
Okay, so there's nothing in between there. Okay, yeah, I see the,
Yeah.
But the main problem that motivated this whole thing was they're charging frontage on the right of way for taxes. So that I'm getting charged doubly on frontage. That's what's motivating me.
okay,
Because it's not a small amount. And this lot here, as it sits, is not buildable. This is the buildable lot. This is the Annisnapper Brook.
Yep.
And there's a 200-foot no touch right, Gary? Which
Okay.
cuts off 3/4 of the lot.
is there going to be any expense to the town?
None that I know of.
Okay, so, but we would be, what, paving this widened section of the road
That
if
would
this
be
is
our-
allowed?
That would be our, yeah, at some point we could shuffle it over the left, that, what is it, 40 feet?
Which is the shaded area, I believe, right, Gary?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what you'd be
And
gaining.
green is the existing road, correct?
Yeah, that's the existing pavement.
Okay,
So you wouldn't
That's a
really
pretty
be gaining
small
anything.
area.
All you really have is, you just have the ability to be able to maintain what's already there.
okay,
So we don't have to pave the new pieces?
No,
Okay.
no,
No, it exists.
okay.
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, there's really no expense to the community, it's just trying to just continue a way that, right now, because of the environmental issues associated with trying to get across here and snap it, it'll never get there.
Yeah. I don't see a drawback unless,
Do you have any questions, Mark?
I don't know, I'm just trying to be careful that there are not unintended consequences that we're missing, and there's a part of me that wonders if we shouldn't be checking with town council just to make sure.
What if we have him draft the letter and we forward it to town council for review
Good.
before the board signs it?
sure.
Okay.
And we could put it on our next
right.
meeting agenda for signature.
And I-
pending
what I will
legal
do, too, is
review.
I'll talk with the administrative staff of the county commissioner's office and make sure of the language that they're looking for relative to the request.
Good.
Yeah, and that, that we don't have to have those two neighbors.
And see if they,
Involved.
yeah.
I got a feeling you're gonna have to notify.
Oh, no, we're gonna have to notify
Yeah.
them.
Right,
no, I
the
know,
hearing,
yeah.
but they, I don't know if they're required at this early stage,
Or if it's
or not.
Or if it's gonna be part of the county
Good.
commissioners.
Good.
or if like you have to jointly petition us to do this, I'm just not sure, but,
I got a question on whether or not
Okay.
I have to go see.
so really,
I'll
there's
carve it too,
only, the two neighbors, right, there, there's
Yeah.
actually three of them?
so. No, that's Bill's
That's
father.
right, okay.
This is These two neighbors.
Okay, so it's just the
It's just
two
those
other,
two.
okay, which it seems like it's a better deal for them as well, that they would gain
They just gained some land.
some land.
And plus, I gotta find out what, if they're gonna want me to do this, or how they want me to
Okay.
extend that line.
Okay.
So, we'll find out.
Okay,
But
All
I will
right.
find out.
so you'll get that to Liz, and
Yeah.
then we'll check
Do
it
you
out
have
with
a card,
council?
Liz?
Yes, I don't know if I have one with me.
I know I've been emailing with,
Bree?
You've been emailing
Yes.
with Bree, so that's
Yeah.
fine. If you want to
Yeah.
send it to Bridgette.
yes,
Okay.
I've been emailing with Bridgette.
Yeah.
so-
Yes.
And then we'll keep you posted too.
And then as soon as you get that to us, we'll get it right off to council so
Okay.
that we can move
And
forward.
they can see this as well, because that's attached to our emails, and I can just keep the train going.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
Great.
So we'll put this on our agenda for next time,
For
and
the
hopefully
23rd of
that we're
March.
able
23rd of March.
Yes.
to take action at that time.
Thank you very much.
Perfect, well, thank you for coming in.
Thanks.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thanks.
Just, yeah, that's fine.
Well, do you want Rob to have the mic for
Do you
discussion
want-
of
Sure.
Main Street?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, are you here to see us tonight, too?
You need it?
I was just here to see what
It's up
the
to you.
award was.
We have one
Oh, sure, okay, very good.
That one, just in
All right, you want to
case.
grab the, you, Rob?
Awesome. Doing any work on Ring Road? She's gonna hold on to that.
Yeah, okay, yep, you can do that.
Okay.
All right, so
Thank
now
you.
we're going to talk about Ring Road and Main Street, and I'd asked to put this on the agenda just to kind of get the ball rolling. This is an issue we had been talking about, was it last summer we were talking about this? I
Yes.
think it was, and then we had an article on the special town meeting warrant that allowed us to create safety zones. And I think this was one of the intersections that was in our mind when we put that article together. So, let's kind of start talking about what our options are for that intersection to calm the traffic. It has been identified, I think Chief Dillon said it was one of our most dangerous intersections in the town. People driving their kids to school are driving a little erratically and always in a hurry, and might be good just to, because we did want plenty of public input in this along the way, but absolutely your input, and just kind of start the process to look at what our options are.
You could redesign it for another single flow intersection without maybe moving the corner back as much. I know that was part of the issue on the last one. Or you could do like you were
Right,
saying,
there
the three-way
was,
stops that-
right, the gentleman that was concerned about his, the stone wall, 'cause I think there's a stone wall.
But the stone wall's on town property,
Okay,
so the lane goes beyond the stone wall.
Right.
Yeah. The two concerns that I have is, one, you can't, if you're coming, say, from 106 towards the townhouse,
Yep.
it's very hard, especially when all the foliage is out, to get a clear look down there. So one is that if you're gonna make a left-hand turn onto Ring Road, it's a little dicey at times.
Yes, correct.
Because people are coming, and we've got the speed limit there that the
It's pretty high.
DPW raised,
right.
which was nuts, but they did it. The other one you have is the people who do make a left onto Ring Road, and a lot of them, there's a yield sign, they just
They don't
come
yield.
right
Right.
across. And, when school traffic, you got traffic going into the school, but you got people leaving.
Yeah.
And it really gets a little dicey in there in the
And
morning.
That's
throw the
where if
buses
you change
into
it
the
to-
mix.
Yeah, you got the
Yeah.
buses.
If you redesigned it for a single stream intersection, it would eliminate one whole leg of that. It would make it more like a T. You might not have to move the road back as much.
Right. So-
You're kind of limited. I can talk to some engineers and see what their thoughts might be as far as a better
I think it's
design.
worth looking at. We can reduce the speed limit, but people don't always pay attention to that anyways.
Correct.
To the extent we could change the road so it makes sense. I know people are worried that that it becomes faster,
Correct.
and then that it becomes too wide. I think when Jim was looking at it, we had, if you were coming from the townhouse, you could take a right. So there was
I
a
don't remember
a
the
right-hand
exact
turn
plan.
as well as, if you
Going
weren't,
straight.
if you weren't gonna take a right, you just kept going. And so it widened the road, and I think one of the neighbors there was afraid it was
Right
gonna
on the
infringe
corner,
on their
right.
property. But we do need to do something, because one, all the school traffic is there, and two, the road is really getting beat up now.
Yeah, we need some attention, so,
But I know Jim left it when he did both sides,
you know,
so that figuring that we solved this, and,
because that intersection should be attached to another project down between the bogs.
Yeah,
There's
that's
Corduroy
what he
Road.
said,
That's
yeah,
what
Corduroy
Jimmy was
Road.
trying to
Yeah.
do, and that's why that was left
Yeah.
undone in that area.
yeah.
And he had plans drawn up, but they were voted down, so. we might be able to have someone re-engineer something, being a little more generous to the people on the inside of the corner. That's what you guys like?
From what Jim said, they were actually gonna gain land, so I'm not sure that ever got, squared away. Bob Andrews was here, I think, at one of the meetings and offered, he owns to the corner at Ring Road.
Yep.
He offered to take down whatever brush was there. I don't know, Mark, what do you think?
I guess my inclination is to wonder if we might try the speed limit, the lowering the speed limit, the creating of a safety zone, which we're authorized to do based on the special town meeting, and just see what happens with that, see if it works. And the advantage of it is really inexpensive. We avoid with the property, any problems with disrupting present property lines. I don't know if it's enough, but it would be a start.
Well, you'd have to pave the road the way it is. My only concern would be that we then end up tearing it up because we probably end up somewhere different.
Why do we have to pave it?
Well, the road's, it's
Really
really
bad?
broken up there.
That part of Ring, like, right before you come the corner, if you're coming from 106 heading towards the center of town, it's
Okay.
pretty beat up in there. And then once you get around through the corner, that whole inside lane heading up towards the center is,
Yeah. And then you gotta do Ring Road too, because that's pretty
Yep.
beat up
yep.
to the
That
corner.
I'm hoping to do at least from that side of the intersection up towards the school this year.
Yep.
That part where the buses go, it's really bad. It's
Yeah.
not in the intersection yet.
Yeah.
At
I'm
least-
sure
at
people
least
will
an overlay
appreciate it.
Or something to address that problem. That needs attention.
I mean, the thing is, it's a long ways down the road. We don't have any of it funded. We'd have to do an engineering study to begin with, and then fund the work. I mean, it's probably gonna be at least 2 years, I would think.
Really?
Probably a year between engineering and getting everything squared away. And then you might be able to do it the following season.
I'm not opposed to reducing the speed limit there, right?
As a start?
Yeah, and what about paving? Have you got chapter 90 money that you can do
have
that?
some. I'm gonna touch base as we get closer to the end of the year so I can figure out what's going on. The asphalt plants aren't even open yet either. They don't
Yeah.
open till April,
True.
second week of April, so.
I mean, that's a start, but I do think we need to figure out an engineering solution. Or walk away from it after it's paved, and I just don't feel comfortable with that, the way it's laid out.
Well, and I think that's one of the things of trying this, look, I don't know if the speed limit's gonna work, and then maybe people just ignore the whole thing. Maybe it'll work just fine, and then we kind of have an answer.
Well, it's not gonna work without enforcement, so it's gonna be,
You wouldn't
Yes.
require traffic enforcement
and,
after you change that.
right.
Absolutely.
Be nice if we could figure out a way to just make the island go back a little more and force people to go around it rather than cutting across it.
Yeah, like
'cause
what
that's-
you did.
The only,
for
the only problem is no matter what, you're always gonna have one lane crossing over the next. That's why they do away with like cross-flow, cross-stream intersection, to go to a single-stream intersection where it's more like a T-shaped.
Yeah,
So you
that'd be
can-
And
great.
it's just safer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why.
It might seem like it slows things down, but it's much
Slowing things down
safer.
makes
Yeah.
it safer.
And, right, does make it safer.
Can I ask you
That's what we're
something?
looking to.
I noticed the sign coming up the hill now that flashes.
Yes.
It caught my eye, catches my eye
Yeah,
all
that
the
was
time.
Chief Clancy's doing. He had one of the fire trucks entering signs exchange for an emergency vehicle that's solar powered and flashes.
Can something like that go down there?
You
That
could
would
put something
catch
like that down
someone's
there.
eye.
You could
I
put a
travel it all the
flashing
time.
solar sign. Some of them are pretty pricey, so when they do get wiped out, if you don't have an accident report, it is expensive to replace. I mean, I'm just
No.
Yeah.
throwing it out there. I mean, they're
I
pretty
always
pricey.
think of this trailer we had, the small trailer with the sign, somebody
Yeah.
hit it.
Yeah, that was pricey.
They hit the new one.
Probably on purpose.
It's not an undoable thing, but.
They hit the old one, they hit the new one.
It does
Yeah.
get expensive, and we do tend to lose a decent amount of signs.
Yeah.
It was
By the
just
way,
an
thank you for
idea.
putting the children, you know.
But you're
yeah,
welcome.
I appreciate it.
Mostly just waiting on them to come in. I'm actually
Yeah.
still waiting on some sign bases from them,
Yeah,
so.
Great.
Well, then, why don't
It did
we
catch my eye.
maybe put it on our next agenda and to talk about the creating a safety zone in that intersection. And, but I think down the road, we're definitely gonna have to come up with a plan that
Yeah,
deals with the road issues at that intersection. And I think,
absolutely.
you know, the single
I
Well,
think-
it may be,
It's not gonna be what everyone likes, because it changes things,
but it's gonna slow people down.
it's gonna keep people from crossing over.
Right, and it would prevent accidents, which is ultimately what.
Do we want to
we're
look
looking
into
to
the
do.
stop signs, at least find out whether that's even allowed? Just,
Well, I don't,
even if we don't do it.
I don't
we
think
should-
you said it's really feasible to do a three-way stop because you've got cars that are gonna be crossing over each other.
If you wind up someone stopped in the middle of Main Street on that corner waiting to
Right,
get up
and
Ring
that's-
Road, you could
Yeah.
have a real
Right.
Yeah.
problem.
So
Okay.
that we would have to
Okay.
go to single-lane traffic to create a three-way stop. So you're stopping people at the T,
Yeah.
which, might be an option.
So the intent, if we declared a safety zone, is the speed limit would be 20 miles an hour. We'd have to ask you to put up signs. Maybe you'd want to research that a little bit next time, and to whether there's money in the budget, or whether we'd have to,
We should, if the regular signs, there's money in the budget for that.
okay, great.
Okay.
And, yeah, I think further discussion, maybe some of the abutters might want to be here for,
Sure.
as well. And
Absolutely, when we're talking about this next time.
So, talking about it again next time. So that'll be 3 weeks from now, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
the 23rd.
All right.
Great.
Does that work for you to come back?
Yeah,
Perfect, okay,
absolutely.
very good. So we'll put it on our agenda for then. And do we have anything right off the bat on the 23rd?
We can put that first.
Okay, why don't we do that first? Because we'll probably have other people that want to come in to talk about it.
Okay.
All right, perfect, very good. Well, thanks for coming in.
Well, not a problem.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Rob.
We'll see you then.
Thanks, Rob.
Great,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right, so,
Do we-
Do
Wanna
the
take care
notice
of the
of
guests?
awards. so
yeah, why
that-
don't we do the award? All right, so we got the, I'm looking at the wrong agenda.
Surplus
So we've
line.
got Ring and the Old Colony, gotcha. Okay, so why don't we do the notice of award, the surplus modular home bid process? And it's so nice to see that on the agenda.
Yes, so we had declared the modular home as surplus property, and that was put out to bid, and the sealed bid opening was held back on Thursday, February 6th. And we had one bidder on the modular home, John Mathias, for $8,100. And he did turn in the necessary non-collusion form and everything. So I would recommend that the board award the bid to John Mathias so that he can begin to make arrangements to remove it.
All right.
Do we know when that would happen? If we
I
bid-
believe we said, what, within 10 business days, once we get it,
Once you get it.
yes,
10 days or so.
yes,
I've been waiting to hear from what's going on before
yes,
Before you move it?
no, before I get everything going,
yes. So we'll work with John
Okay.
to
Okay,
take care
great.
of that.
All right.
So if you want to vote.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we award the surplus modular home to John Mathias.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye. Yay.
Thank
Yay,
you.
yay, thank
people
you.
happy, I hear.
Yes. Enjoy. All right. Colleen, were you here to see us tonight, too?
You have the volunteer list and the grant stuff on the.
Yes.
Oh.
I would be here. in
Beautiful.
case
Okay.
you-
All right, well, let's talk about that now. So, the grant writer per diem agreement and foundation directory online professional subscription, and then the volunteerism and,
Yeah, so it's all.
Talent bank?
part of it.
Yes.
okay. All right, so you're going to take the lead with this one, John?
Okay, so Colleen has been nice enough, she wrote a email, I think I sent around, suggesting that we needed a talent bank, much like Halifax, Duxbury, and other towns do, which is a great idea. She also gave me Duxbury's, and I got Halifax, and then I kind of played with it, so it looked a little more like Plympton, as far as, the different boards and committees that are laid out. So Colleen also had some great ideas on things that we might want to do in terms of trying to encourage volunteerism, which I think is, we need to follow up on these. What I'd like to go forward is get this voted. Colleen's seen it, I think you're all right with the talent bank form we talked about,
Yeah,
right?
we had one little change, well, there was probably punctuation changes.
Punctuation, I
Of course.
But other than that, I think there was some change that you and I had talked about, you were going to make those. and
Which one was that? Do you
I
know?
don't
Because I think I did them, but,
I haven't seen it since we met.
Okay. so one thing I wanted to add is I added this sentence down the bottom, okay? Because I think there are people who would like to volunteer, but they don't always know what boards are, et cetera. So, but I think we should get this up on the website. This will be two-sided, so it's got the boards on the backside. And we'll put it out, we'll put forms out at the
Social
library.
media.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Council on Aging, wherever we can.
I think maybe it was removing number of years in Plympton.
Yes,
Because
and I did do that,
Why do we
yeah.
need that?
Okay.
Duxbury had the number of years you lived in town, and I think Colleen rightly pointed out
Right.
And
it's
I
not
think-
encouraging.
No.
I think we wondered if there was a way, can we legally have these forms at town meeting or on, even on a table outside here on election day or, something
Yeah.
like that, so that, and maybe have that table staffed, so, I
Yeah.
can be there with a stun gun or something and say, you need to volunteer for the town. You're vocal about what's wrong, let's work on what's right.
That actually makes a lot of sense, even the bigger level, at any event on the
Yeah.
town green,
Exactly.
the fire department, having a sign and maybe a volunteer to sit in and talk this up a little.
We could do it.
Yeah,
ourselves.
absolutely.
I know the
That's
Historical
great.
Society, like Old Home Day, they always have a table with people who would, sign up here.
Yeah, that is a really good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Make ourselves accessible.
And actually, we could use a list of vacancies.
Yes.
So that I know that we need 2 alternates for ZBA because I'm on ZBA.
Yeah.
I don't know what we need for other committees, and maybe we're full.
We're pretty well staffed, but we need to just verify that with the town clerk, so we can ask the town clerk to supply that.
Well, not the least of which is the very topical piece of all these openings for election or upcoming election in a lot of positions.
Right, library trustees, or trustee, it looks like they need one, that nobody's taken out papers or running for reelection.
And we really, on this list, don't know which of these people are actually going to run again.
No, nope, we don't. So after we get that, that would be a good thing to communicate as well.
And additionally, one of the things that I've been thinking about and talking with some residents are people who are not citizens of our country. Whether or not legislation goes through to allow them to participate in town politics and elected positions, they are able to be appointed to boards. So it's not a huge group out there, it's only like 15 people. But I think some of them are people who are willing to be active and didn't know that, or at this point are not allowed. Or we just discovered that they are allowed.
Liz checked and
Yes, it's only appointed that are
it's appointed, but
able to do it.
my concern is if we tried to get them so that they could run for office, that all of a sudden it would affect multi-towns and.
Yes, well, as I pointed out, there is legislation in place already from other towns in the state, so we'd only be joining.
Oh,
And I'm not
okay.
even saying, you and I talked to
Yeah.
Kathy Lenatra about that,
Right.
and she was gonna look into it. So
Yeah.
for us right now, it's the volunteer appointed boards.
Right,
And whether it goes to another step after that.
right.
I just.
But
we do have
that's
people
good, we
in town.
can, there are people in town that we could, if they're willing, get onto boards and committees. So,
Are you happy with the form? Do you want to take a vote to have this be the form for now? And we can start putting it out.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, too. So are we gonna have like one person, one of us, that kind of monitors this and makes phone calls, or how do you want to?
I'd be glad to talk to anybody who wants to talk to us.
Okay,
And if we get to the place of events and we need someone manning a table.
And we can figure that out.
okay.
Yeah, I'm glad to do that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
That,
In the meantime, put it on the website, put it on the
Right.
Facebook page.
Yep.
Probably gave up.
Okay.
perfect, all right.
I
so-
actually wonder if we might not be able to stuff this in a mailing at some point, like dog license.
Oh,
That's a
of
great
course.
idea, yeah. Yeah.
That's a ways away, but that will,
Yeah.
the visibility there is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Put a link maybe in the town report, just to, or the address where it is. Okay,
Oh, that's an idea. Can we put it as an extra page in the back of the warrant? People can
That's an
get their
idea,
warrant
too.
in the mail, they can fill it out, drop it in a box when they walk into town meeting.
Is that a problem?
Something
The
for you
warrant
to
does
think
not
about.
get done by me for town meeting.
Yeah, we could,
That's FinCom,
see, it would have to be an
Oh, the warrants.
attachment
Okay, I was
similar
thinking the annual
to the
report.
budget.
Yeah, well, we can talk to the finance committee.
Yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
just something else to put out.
okay.
I could be at town meeting, though, at a table.
Yeah. The warrant would be nice because it does go to every resident in town.
We could probably insert it as an attachment at the back.
Yeah.
And then have it included in the folded mailed versions.
Okay,
Cool.
all right. Do you want the town seal or anything on this? Make it look a little bit more official?
Sure.
Yeah, we could add the town seal.
Yeah, what do we do with that? Add the town
Okay.
seal, and, yeah, I think it looks great. I think it looks really nice.
Okay, good.
Okay, all right, very good. So I'll make a motion that we accept the talent bank form as submitted for posting and distribution.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Colleen, very much. This is awesome.
That's great. Thank you.
And this is one of our goals.
It is.
It's so nice when we work towards meeting them. All right, so next item.
Was there anything else in that conversation we should talk about?
Well, we have the other item, the grant writer per diem, which I had put on.
Okay,
I was hoping that the board could vote to authorize me to proceed with Colleen with drafting that per diem
An agreement?
agreement for the grant writer
all right,
role.
so moved.
Yeah, second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Do
Okay.
we want
Yay.
to talk about the foundation?
Yeah, let's talk about that too. So Colleen had shown that to us. And basically it would pay for access to a database that has a lot of information concerning available grants and various gifting foundations. And I think at the top, we had checked off kind of that
Yep.
middle of the road option.
Okay.
And you do have the funds available in your expense budget, specifically under the grant writer line that would pay for that. So I wasn't certain if that was something that you wanted to pursue, where it is sort of a large expense. John and I had talked it over and had thought we should put it on an open session, meeting
Sure.
discussion, so that the board could weigh in.
I think it's a great idea. I think Colleen's obviously got the skills, and we need to supply her with some of the tools. We also talked to Kathy Lenatra about, how to go forward with grants. So I think now we have a focus, rather than just throwing everything at Liz, we can.
So is this the best format for us to get, or group for us to get hooked up with for access to grants?
I don't know that there is actually another directory.
Okay.
I did take a small grant writing course, certificate course, and the last day focused on this. Basically, it lists nearly all foundations and grants available in the country. It is available free of charge at, it's 6 or 8 libraries in the state. The nearest to us is 4 Cs on the Cape, which means driving to the Cape when the library's open and
Right.
yada yada. So makes more sense to have it available here in town.
If we could do this, if we did the 1-year option, and then if we don't find it to be useful, we don't
just
have to
wouldn't do it again.
continue it.
Right.
Yeah,
But if we could have it available here,
I think it makes.
and where you
Makes
do
perfect
have the
sense.
funds available, and then that way it's not putting it off until next year, because then that would cut into the available money
Right.
for the actual grant writing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hunk of money, but it gets us into a different segment than we're looking at. So much of what we're looking at is government on one level or
Right.
another, and this might get us into different areas where we could do something really creative,
Yep.
which Colleen would be great at.
Right.
So I'm good with this.
Okay, all right, so I'll make a motion that we sign up for this foundation directory at the, that one-time annual payment of $1,499.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So what does it run, calendar year, fiscal year?
We would, I believe
Or
it
is
Or is
runs
it just
from
1
when
year
you
to 1
sign
year?
up.
For
Beautiful,
native membership.
perfect.
So
Very
if we see her around town, like starry-eyed and her eyeballs going in circles, does it mean she got too hooked on that?
Yeah, I'm sure that will happen.
Well, thank you, Colleen, very
Yeah,
much.
thank you very much.
Very
You know where to
much.
find me if you need me for something.
Okay.
All right, so warrants paid. All right, out of the selectmen's expense, total is $17,471.30 for various bills, looks like Eversource, some more work for upstairs, not very much, and a variety of other, looks like a decent-sized Copeland and Page bill, $3276.07, but I think that we're still on track with them.
Correct.
We're kind of staying within budget where we hope to be. So that's the warrants paid. Slate of offices for the annual town election and information from town clerk's office. Is this what we need to vote on?
I believe so.
Okay. All right, so this is in a format that you can use for the,
I had her
Budget?
resend it to me so it would be in the proper format for
Okay.
the warrant, which she sent earlier today.
okay. All right, any questions or concerns on this? All right, do we need to vote on this?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the ballot for the annual town election as submitted by the town clerk.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mark, you're up next. Authorization for next round of public power supply municipal aggregation.
So I heard recently from Colonial Power Group, and they are letting us know that natural gas is at a 6-year low, have put out a request for proposals, which are going to be presented tomorrow to the various towns involved. And so what I'm seeking is authorization that if Colonial Power sees something attractive and beneficial to us, that you authorize me to go ahead and sign a new contract.
Okay. Any questions?
And this is for the town? Is this,
No, this is for the citizens of the town.
The
Okay,
residents.
so this is the one where we offered them,
They can opt out if they
Right.
want to, but they
They're
save money.
in, they can opt out if they want. They're offered usually a choice between a better rate than they're presently getting for power, and we offer generally, if there's anything at all attractive, an eco-environmentally more conscious piece.
so I'm all in favor of it. I would like to see us do a public announcement, though, once we know what's going.
Oh, we didn't like when the announcements came up, they had a funky address, like in Florida
We
or
did a terrible
something.
job last time.
Yeah,
No, but I think we as the selectmen ought to say,
Right.
this is your current rate if you go with the electric company or whatever, and this is the rate offered under the proposal, and you have the right to opt out, and just leave it at that. Because I assume it's gonna be cheaper than
Yeah,
the rate.
yeah, we
Yeah.
wouldn't take it if it didn't seem cheaper. I mean, the game in this, of course, is, or the difficulty, like any commodity, you're betting on the future, and it can go up and it go down, and we're having to choose whether to take a 1-year or a 2-year or 3-year commitment, so. No, I hear you. Maybe once that's sorted out, a newspaper article.
Exactly.
Okay, we can work on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I think we've done a good job, so I think we ought to.
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I think it's worked out well, too. So this is the power aggregation that we did previously.
Yep.
Has it been, what, 3 years already? Or we're coming up on 3 years?
If I'm remembering correctly, we did it once, and then there was a second round of contracts, and I think this is our third.
Wow, it's gone by so fast. Okay, all right, so I'll make a motion that we authorize Mark to work with, who is this, Colonial Power?
Colonial Power
Colonial
Group.
Power to get the best rates possible for the town.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we already did volunteerism, talent bank form, we talked about the grant writer, we talked about discontinuation of roadway, regional Old Colony Communications Center proposal.
So their latest proposal would be, so we currently paid 50,000 for this fiscal year that we're in. Their proposal would be 125 due July 1st, so for next fiscal year. And then the following year, have that amount go up to 175,000. So this is lower than the original 200,000 that we were quoted.
Yeah, significantly less.
The 125 to me seems very reasonable, and I think we should attempt to lock that in, given the service that they provide. I don't know if we want to see if there's any room to further negotiate the 175. I would say at the very least, even if there's not, we would want a caveat built in that if another community joins them, and that would inevitably adjust our rate downward, that we want the benefit of that for year two. But they are looking for a response very soon.
Do we have to do a 2-year agreement with them?
We don't. I would say the only drawback to not doing that would be if we, say we just did the 125, what if the following year they've had a chance to look at all the metrics and everything, and they say, well, now it's 200. It's a gamble. I don't know.
I kind of feel, we got a really good deal from them when it started out, and partly because they needed us to get the regional. We know, at least I believe, it would cost us quite a bit more than 200,000 to do it any other way, going out on our own. So I don't think that's unreasonable. I think the 125 is good faith on their part. 175, if you wanted to talk to them, but I would have no problem voting for that, in the sense that you're a professional organization. We don't have the ability to do it ourselves.
No, we never could.
We want to make sure that, right now, there's a good vibe, I think, and I think we want to continue that. So if we can get a few thousand off, that's fine, but I really think this overall is a very good deal for the town.
And here's my take, and it sort of overlaps yours. There's no doubt it's an excellent service, a great service, and much more inexpensive than if we tried to do it ourselves. At the same time, going from 50,000 to 200,000 is, that's very jarring for a little town like this. I think coming out of that last meeting, they kind of signaled there was some room for negotiation, and I thought the 125 was an interesting number, because that is right down the middle of dividing between 50 and 200,000. So that number, I think, is fine, and a year at that is fine. My concern right now is the means they're using to come up with this allocation is just way off, the number of calls. Us having 3 times as many calls as a town with 3 times as many citizens is just crazy. And so whatever we decide in 1 year or 2 years, I think we still have to leave open ultimately how we're allocating these expenses out. I kind of felt comfortable out of the last meeting that 125 for 3 years was pretty good way to go, and fair maybe to both sides, or at least for 2 years, and with the proviso that we would continue to look at what the formula for dividing up the expense was. I mean, it just can't be number of calls and us having a ridiculous number of calls compared to anyone else.
So you don't like moving to 175 in year two?
I don't. I could make a nice case for moving to 125. That's a 2.5 times jump right off the top, and drawing these 2 years to continue to work through the formula we use for various towns. I mean, we could propose something like that. At worst, they'd say no.
I think,
Well, I wasn't at the meeting, so
I think either you or Liz needs to sit down with them. I don't think it should be done in writing. I think it needs to be talked out.
Yep.
I'm fine with, because I think it's basically fair, given what we know. But if you think that, certainly if you can get it reduced, that would be great.
I'm happy to go over there and meet with them.
Maybe the two of you go over.
Good. I think that'd be a good way to go. I'm glad to work with you along the way
Okay.
too. Look, I think they've been reasonable so far. Of course, they're asking for a lot of money, but they've been pretty reasonable. And certainly the meeting was just as cordial as could be, and it did.
If I was sitting in their spot, I'd be saying, they don't need us now. They've got Rochester, they've got Halifax, they're about to get Hanson. So we gotta be a little careful.
Yeah,
Well,
but fair
we've had
fair
a
play is,
good
we had a good, they made out well with us when they got us. They gave us a really good rate, 0, but they did very, very well. And,
Sure, but they carried us for 3 years, too.
Yeah, and there's.
But anyways, I think if you two go meet, I'd
Okay.
be interested in your feedback.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay, all
Come
right.
back without any bruises, that'll be
Very good, perfect. Okay, so we finished all the updates and discussions. We've got Tom here who
Hi,
we're
Tom.
going to be meeting with, so do you want to try to quickly move
Yeah.
through this so that we can go meet with
Yes,
Tom?
let me go through the correspondence really quickly. We
And thank you, Tom, for
have
meeting with us.
an appointment slip here in correspondence for Jean Cohen to the Cultural Council, effective March 2nd, 2020 through June 30th, 2020. We did realize that we're unable to have elected officials serving on the
Okay.
Cultural Council.
Well, great.
So
I'm glad
Jean
that
was
she
nice
came
enough to come
forward.
forward for us.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we appoint Jean Cohen to the Cultural Council effective today, March 2nd, until June 30th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I think we may have another appointee that we should put this on the agenda for more appointees for next meeting as
Okay,
well.
we can take care of that. We have an information here from a Mr. Drolet, Al Drolet, and he has offered the possibility of placing several bluebird nesting boxes along the town green and in the cemetery, and it would be no cost to the town. He would be donating said bluebird boxes, but he would obviously need permission to install those.
Just wonder if that's the best location. I mean, it seems like it might be better to have these over in the preserve.
Yeah, you could.
I wonder if we should tell him that we're interested, but mention to him some alternative
Yeah.
locations in town,
Churchill and
and make sure he's
Prospect.
aware
Yeah,
of them.
Churchill and,
Locations, it might be worth a conversation. You see these everywhere, it seems like a good thing, but it's pretty easy for human beings to well-intentionedly make a change and change the ecosystem. So it might be worthwhile. I'd be glad to speak to, I hang around with birders along the way and people at
Okay.
Audubon. I might like to just ask them, is there any downside? Are we pushing
So
out
can
other
we give this
species?
to you?
Um,
Do you want to contact, or do you want me to contact him?
Why don't you contact him about other locations? I'll work on the eco-environmental consequences.
Okay.
okay.
Is that all
Yeah, I
right?
just would hate
Yes.
to have bluebirds getting hit on Main Street
Yeah.
because we've put houses out there.
We received notification, the standard yearly one from Keolis. They do all of the vegetation management for Mass DOT. And people, year after year, you can go on to their website, and if you have any concerns about the vegetation management plan.
Okay?
The Plympton Council on Aging is holding their annual St. Patrick's Day celebration on Wednesday, March 18th, from noon to 2 o'clock at the Upland Club. And I received some information about the coronavirus today. Both the fire department and our Board of Health participated in a conference call with DPH. Basically, no new information other than what we've been hearing, but it does sound like they feel that places should be kind of gearing up in the event that we did need to close certain things, whether it be Council on Aging or the library or the townhouse, to get some plans in place. So I've been in touch with Chief Silva and Chief Clancy, and we'll make sure that we stay on top of it and that we're working with the Board of Health on this. But
Right.
they're very much on top of it. And Art sent me something shortly before the meeting to put on social media that just kind of points people to the state website so that the information's all coming from one source and so that we don't unnecessarily alarm anybody.
Great. Sounds like a great idea.
And that's it for me, if you want to
Okay.
move on for adjourn and
All right,
then.
why don't we,
Skip goals.
yep, and we can actually probably do the minutes
After.
after. Can we do
Okay.
that? The minutes
Yeah.
after? Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion that we adjourn, and we are going to reconvene upstairs in the building department. Very good. All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.